Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We are super excited to have you. We have a great speaker lineup for you. One of our customers, AdhereHealth, is with us on the call, and they're going to talk about a very powerful healthcare story on how they are using self-service data preparation to help save lives. My name is Farnaz Erfan. I'm the head of product marketing here at Paxata. And on the call with me, I have Jake Woods. He is the senior director of data science at AdhereHealth. Jake actually presented with us a few months ago at the Gartner Data and Analytics Summit in Orlando in March. And he shared such a powerful story, and he's such a great speaker that we have asked him to join us here today to share that story with you and with our virtual audience today. So we want to spend majority of the time with Jake and understand their journey on how they have built a self-service data preparation practice, how they've approached it, and the results and benefits they've seen from this. But for those of you who are newer to Paxata, I'll spend just a couple of minutes on giving you a quick introduction into what Paxata does, and then we'll turn the table and turn the mic over to Jake to take us through their journey. We also want to hear from you. We want to answer your questions, so go ahead and ask your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll get to all your questions at the end of the webcast. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so this picture is pretty familiar for most of you. If you've ever managed a data analytics project or a data science project, or you've been involved in it, you know that majority of the time of these projects have been spent on preparing the data, shaping the data, and very little time is spent on actually analyzing the data. And why is that? The reason is data is complex, and preparing data is not an easy task. And the people who are sitting in the line of business, the people who have business context around the data, who know what they want to get out of the data, don't have the skills or the tools to do that. So this work gets delegated to IT. And guess what? IT has a lot of stuff on their plate. So we have seen major delays in data and analytics projects over the years. And this is at the core of what Paxata is here to solve, is to really provide that kind of self-service data preparation so that any user, even the people that are sitting in the line of business, the business analyst or an operations manager, is able to prepare the data, blend it, transform it, and make it into a shape and format that's ready for analytics on their own. How do we do that? We provide a very visual environment. It's very close to Excel. The paradigm is similar to Excel, but it doesn't have the limitations of Excel, meaning that there is no limitation in terms of the scale and the size of the data that you can bring into Paxata. So you can visually see the entire data set, your entire data set, and be able to profile it, to transform it, to blend it, combine it with other data sources, and eventually automate your workflows. And that's the unique differentiator of Paxata, that scalability, that aspect that you can work with your entire data and not be limited into samples. That is what is unique with Paxata. We have customers that are creating a single view of their clients. That's the use case of Cox Automotive. They're doing this to create a single view of dealers and dealerships by using Paxata. We have customers that are using Paxata for application migrations. Verizon Media is doing that. Or even preparing data for compliance reporting, which is the use case of Standard Chartered Bank. But here and now, we are to learn about the use case that AdhereHealth has had in healthcare. So with no further ado, I'll turn it over to Jake to take us through their journey, how they approached data preparation, and what benefits and results they've been able to gain since onboarding Paxata. Jake, on to you.
Thank you, Farnaz, and welcome to our virtual audience. I want to thank you for spending time with us today. I hope that what we have to present to you in our case study with Paxata is useful and can give you some idea of how you might be able to leverage the technology in your organization. I also want to thank Paxata for being such a great partner with us through this journey and for giving us the opportunity to present our use case today through this fantastic channel. So a little bit about AdhereHealth. We are a leading healthcare technology company focused on medication adherence. And we target the nation's $300 billion of annual unnecessary medical spend caused solely by gaps in medication adherence. The way we're doing this is by resolving social determinants of health and other barriers to care. We do this by supporting health plans, self-insured employers, and other kinds of risk-bearing entities. We touch nearly 10 million consumers nationwide through our Adhere platform of advanced technologies, at-risk engagement services, and home-delivered pharmacy. And our offerings are available to our clients as part of a full risk partnership or through software as a service. Now, every presentation that we do internally at the company, as well as with our clients, and when we are working on demonstrating the value of AdhereHealth to potential clients, we always start with a consumer impact story. And the reason that we do this is because the health of the consumer is our paramount concern through every stage of our operation: data acquisition, data analytics, reporting, operations, and account management. Every department of this company is unified behind the idea that the consumer's healthcare is why we exist. So this consumer impact story has some direct relevance to our partnership with Paxata, and I'll talk about how closer to the end of the presentation. But just to give you guys an idea of the kind of cases that we work with. Here we have Mr. Hamilton, and this slide does not contain PHI, but here we have Mr. Hamilton, and he's an example. This is a case study of an actual patient that we worked with. He wasn't taking his medications for more than a month because his physician no longer took his health insurance. One of our clinicians initiated life-saving interventions during an outreach call. So our clinicians called Mr. Hamilton to enroll him in the AdhereRx home delivery pharmacy program on a Thursday. And then based on the outcome of that call, requested a welfare check by local police. The police went to his home and reported Mr. Hamilton's health was stable. But on the call, we learned that he had not been taking his medications for a month since his physician no longer took his insurance. And our clinician contacted the plan to get him a new doctor. So when we did a follow-up call the next day for an update on his appointment and to enroll in AdhereRx, he was having chest pain. So again, our clinician contacted local first responders and stayed with him on the phone until the paramedics arrived. He was admitted to the hospital to rule out a heart attack and shortness of breath from respiratory acidosis as a result of not taking his medications, and has stayed with AdhereRx after his discharge from the hospital. So let's talk about how we're using Paxata here at AdhereHealth. Next slide. So our vision of better health through medication adherence is at the center of our product strategy. Our partnership with Paxata is a natural application of that strategy, and it's enhanced and streamlined our acquisition and management of data assets. So we receive medical claims data, pharmacy data, plan eligibility data, and hospital discharge data in a variety of formats every day from our health plan clients. We also receive consumer data directly from consumers, as well as data on providers and other reference data sets within our domain. This data is processed in real time and shows which consumers need to be worked with in order to resolve their adherence issues. And we also work closely with our clients developing and enhancing our products. So many of these enhancements over the years have required us to intake and quickly understand adjunct files containing lab data, long-term care facility data, or hospital admission data. And finally, because we also operate on the analytics we produce, we collect all the data generated by our operation in a standard analytic data store, such as our enterprise data warehouse. Quickly and efficiently loading that warehouse on a nightly basis is an integral part of our analytic and operational data pipeline. Next slide. So what's our challenge? Why were we looking for a partner for data intake and data preparation? Well, while there are some common data standards in healthcare, our experience has been that flexibility in what we are able to accept is key to efficient implementations of a new client. The lack of common data standards has led to more than one implementation that has exceeded our 90-day target in the past. Clinically, each day we're delayed in implementation is one more day's delay before a medication issue can be identified and addressed. Financially, many of the products we offer are directly tied to quality rating systems, which are used to determine reimbursement from government payers. Our ability to implement quickly and to understand the client's data quickly and accurately and completely is one of the drivers of our shared success. Many of the ETL tools and technologies, as Farnaz mentioned in the introduction, are only accessible to a developer's skill set. Now, ideally, we'd be empowering our data analysts with technology that allows them to gain insight into our client data without developer hours. And that's what Paxata gives us. Development resources are more expensive. And I don't know what the labor market's been like in other cities, but in Nashville, where we're based, there's a very tight labor market for data development resources. And so good developers have been challenging at times to find when we've needed them. The organic growth of our company over its first few years of operation necessitated the creation of product line specific intake workflows. Now, as we've grown, we're working towards consolidating the analytic and operational data pipelines wherever possible. Flexible and powerful tools, namely Paxata, for ingesting and transforming data are a key part of that process. Next slide. Our partnership with Paxata. Initial implementations, change requests, and product enhancement opportunities are now in the hands of data analysts, whose skill set is specifically attuned to the task of analyzing and understanding data. And I can't overstate the importance to our business of developing our analytic group while at the same time freeing our data developers to work with our clients and with our product team on improving the operational nature of our products. So through our partnership with Paxata, we have improved our capabilities in flexible data specs, rapid communication with our clients during the discovery phase of implementation, standardization and governance of data quality and data cleansing routines, and monitoring of files after implementations for changes that previously would have broken our data pipeline. We are also defining data specifications which are standard across our product line, streamlining our intake of data files to meet those specifications, which has only been possible with the help of Paxata's adaptive data preparation, is a critical step in that effort. We have also recently accelerated our internal data migrations for our data warehouse from 12 to 2 hours. The combined power and ease of use of the Paxata platform was leveraged to achieve this result. So I want to talk about these two specific uses of our data intake and our data migration in a little bit more detail. If you go to the next slide, we'll do a spotlight on data intake. So what's our new data intake pipeline look like? Well, during implementation, we're always able to identify a subject matter expert at the client that understands their data model. Previously, our development team, along with one of our data analysts, would be working with that person. But now we're able to streamline that and have just the data analyst working with the subject matter expert during the client implementation process. Phase one of our implementation, and the way we're using Paxata there, is in exploration of the data. So we'll work with the client to intake their data files and identify the fields in delimited, binary, fixed width, or hierarchical formats, all of which we work with today, that we need to map to our internal data spec. We're also able to do data type detection so that data types are reviewed based on what Paxata reads in the file, but unlike other tools that we've used previously, where we've had to specify and know those data types in advance, which is one of the most time-consuming parts of exploration of the data for us. We're also utilizing automatic join detection. A lot of the files that we intake are claims files, and those claims files must match to eligibility data via unique and durable patient identifier. And making sure that we have that identifier during the early stages of implementation is critical to our shared success with our clients. And finally, as we are now starting to do outreach and engagement with consumers to deliver medications to their home through AdhereRx, the clustering and editing capabilities of Paxata to work with our address and phone number quality has been another valuable feature of the platform that we've been able to leverage. Phase two of implementation with Paxata then is after go live and what we do with the data to make it operational. We're creating our own internal library of standard data quality measures, which we were able to implement one time in the platform. We have an internal standard format for all of our data sets, And when we hand off data for automation by the IT data developers, it is now 100% ready to use. And any issues that we might need to go back to the client to have resolved, like formatting of a reference key or working on them with understanding the logic of claims reversals, all of that has been taken care of by the data analyst during phase one. And IT can spend their time executing the automation and making sure that the client comes up in our platform with a minimum of additional work. Now, our data migration solution is actually something that we didn't initially engage with Paxata to solve this problem, but it was a problem that once we realized that the power of the platform for internal migrations, it was an obvious fit for something that we had been working with for several years. Our legacy ETL solution for moving data from our operational systems, which are on one database platform, into our data warehouse, which is on another, was very cumbersome to customize and had to be customized by individual object within the data model in our operational system. We actually care about a 30 million record data set in over 50 objects to migrate daily. And that's out of a data set of over 100 million records scattered across 250 objects in the application. Now, the prior process of migrating that entire available history was over 12 hours, and now it's running in under 2 hours. And there are a few reasons why that's happening with that level of improvement. Our current process using Paxata has allowed us to customize which objects we're migrating. We are now migrating those 50 objects and not the entire set of 250. We're able to apply differential loads to the migration, rather than bringing across full multi-million record data sets, much of which contain history that we will have already migrated. And finally, the ease of use of the platform has allowed us to manage jobs and automation by multiple different AdhereHealth employees, where previous solutions were known to only 1 or 2 developers, which was another ingredient in why this prior process was cumbersome to customize. The screenshot you can see over on the right is actually a representation of the automation that we've been able to create. And you can see a subset of all of those objects that we're migrating every night. And that green success line that I see every single morning when I check the results is something that we are only achieving with Paxata, and that level of continued success hadn't always been possible with our legacy, our solution for this problem. So what's our business value? What are we getting from our partnership with Paxata? Well, we get faster implementations. We have an improved speed of quality data integration. There's less time spent in development for changes made by active clients when they have an internal data change. We're working on creating a single path for file intake and reaping all the efficiencies from that. But further than that, like I said, everything that we do here, we stay focused on the consumers that we are serving. And the consumer benefits from all of these technological advancements are that we're able to address these medication adherence issues sooner. By freeing up these development resources, we're also accelerating the development of additional analytics and the development of our product to further their clinical impact. Our clients are reaping benefits from this too. By accelerating our impact and addressing medication issues sooner, we're reducing medical costs and improving value-based outcomes. We've also got less effort and expense by their IT departments during implementation because there's less back and forth with different versions of the files that we're implementing. And there's less time until an impact on the consumer population via a reduction in claims expenses or an improvement in quality ratings, which improves their revenue. So I said I would go back to that clinical impact story and tie this all together with how Paxata was an ingredient in that success. AdhereRx, when we presented it to Mr. Hamilton, was a new product for us. It had come out of some business expansion that we had just done, and we had inherited a data ingestion task for the data for his health plan. It was not a spec we were used to using. It was not a spec that had all the data elements that we normally would have required for our other products. But with Paxata, instead of what I would have expected to be a 30-day implementation, We understood the data coming in from this health plan for a new product and implemented them in under 7 days. The timing and the prescience of our clinician in discussing Mr. Hamilton's health issues with him, her ability to work with his health plan and with local first responders to make sure he got not only the medication that he needed, but the immediate health care that he needed was all about timing. And our accelerated data intake with Paxata was a key ingredient in that timing. And the last thing I just want to say to sum up is that Paxata has been a partner that's been wonderful to work with on all fronts from day one. When we were evaluating the platform, when we were putting together the case to our internal decision makers to invest in the platform, and all of the service that we've got has been beyond anything I would have expected. Every question we ask gets a detailed and quick answer, and they've really invested in us in addition to us investing in them. It's a partnership I am very proud to be part of.
Gosh, thank you so much, Jake. Thank you. That's such a wonderful story. It has such a big impact into people's lives. It really has a true meaning, and it's been a pleasure to work with you and the AdhereHealth team.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Great. So what we can do at this point is to really get into the questions. We have had a lot of questions coming in, so keep them coming, and we'll get through as many as we can today. All right, first question. Okay, so the first question is about what is the skill set of your team who is using Paxata, and what level of training did you do to onboard your team?
Sure. So we have a few different people using Paxata for the different use cases that I mentioned, and it's across a variety of skill sets. We have myself as a data scientist. We also have 2 of our data analysts, one that is more kind of data focused and has been working on this process to streamline our intake, and another one of our reporting analysts that has actually been looking at kind of the other use case and reviewing our migration jobs and helping us zero in on those objects that were most critical to be migrated into our warehouse. Separate from that, we've actually gotten a lot of great buy-in from our IT developers. This partnership that we have with them in terms of our client implementations is working really, really well, because they also are enjoying working with the platform and are fully bought in to this idea of using the right tool for the right part of the pipeline. As far as training goes, we've been able to get a lot of great training through Paxata. They have, you guys have your regular web training, and we're actually also working on scheduling an on-site training where we'll get into some of the deeper administration and programmatic aspects of the platform. And so, the support there has been a big part of how we've been able to use the platform quickly.
Great. Next question is about your BI tools. What BI tools you have at AdhereHealth, and are you loading data into database tables as well?
Yes, we're using Power BI for our visualizations, and then with that we have the Microsoft stack to support that underneath of it with analysis services and Microsoft SQL Server. And so the data migration use case that I went through is all about getting data into that SQL Server data warehouse. So we're loading those database tables directly with transformations from our operational systems.
I see. That makes sense. And the same person is asking, if you mentioned migration of the data, where is data migrating from and to, and are you using Paxata to pipe the data through or to create your rules for the migration?
Right. So we're loading data from our operational database that backends our application. We're loading it through Paxata and into a different area of our infrastructure where our enterprise data warehouse resides. In that process, through Paxata's ability to reach out to all these different types of data sets. That's where we were able to easily do the customizations that I mentioned and make sure that we were pulling across the data elements that we needed, as opposed to something a little heavier handed that we had needed to do in the past with other technologies. So there's some selection going on, there's migration rules going on, and then there's the pipeline itself with the automation. So we're using Paxata for all of those things that you mentioned.
Oh, wow. Great. Sounds good. Yeah, this, data migration is just such a popular use case, and we've seen so much of it lately. It's, I think a lot of people are going to the cloud or just kind of changing their infrastructure. So, okay. And there's another question that's asking that you are in a data science leadership role. Is Paxata used for data science projects or just for analytics at AdhereHealth?
Paxata is not being used for data science yet, but as we continue to push the envelope with our predictive and prescriptive analytics and knowing what the capabilities of the platform are, I'm always looking out for an opportunity to leverage this technology just because of the success that we've had in streamlining it for operations and descriptive analytics.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. Very cool. All right. Thanks, Jake. So then there's just a couple more questions here, and as we have time, I'll go through them quickly. Someone is asking that you mentioned your specs are different in terms of claims and eligibility files that you're bringing through. They're curious about what are the formats in which you are intaking data into Paxata.
Sure, we have a lot of customized formats with some of our clients for a variety of different reasons. We have a basic specification that came from originally some of the industry standard specs, but as our business has evolved, as our products have evolved, those specifications have also evolved. And depending on the client and the implementation timeline and the availability of different pieces of information, what we've discovered is that a lot of times the clients have something that is already implemented that is close to our ideal. And so flexibility in being able to pivot and work with what they have is an important differentiator for us. So in terms of standard formats, we're working with some of the EDI formats, 834s, 837s. We do work with NCPDP, with MCEF, but a lot of what we take in and why Paxata is such a good fit for us is more logically defined in making sure that we have the data elements we need and less physically defined in terms of field order and data types and the like. Right.
Okay, great. All right, and then the last one question I would ask, and we have to wrap up the call, is are there any lessons learned since you started, things you would do differently with Paxata or outside Paxata overall?
That's a really good question.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah. I think yes. I think the one thing that has been a challenge for us is we have a lot of needs and there's a lot of exciting growth for our company this year. And so with that, we still have a lot of power that we want to get out of the platform. And I think I would have been probably more intentional earlier on in bringing in some of the people that are now part of our implementation, just in terms of being able to do the most we could with the platform once we got it up and running. And so if to turn that into advice for anyone who's starting a journey with Paxata now, I'd say, don't underestimate how the value you might find in the product, and make sure that you have all the people, all of your subject matter experts in terms of data intake involved early on so that they can be starting to think about additional use cases.
Great. Thank you so much, Jake, for sharing that. There are a few more questions, and in the interest of time, we will be getting back to you on those questions after the call. I'd like to wrap up the call with just Quick note that if what you saw today was interesting to you and you see that you can take value out of it, you can always try Paxata for free by going to our website. We have a bunch of tutorials to really walk you through the few steps that you need to know about to get started. And we also run a Paxata live demo every week at 11 o'clock Pacific time frame. That one of our solution engineers is on the call. He's going to show you the product, and he's there to answer any questions, including technical questions you may have. So take advantage of that. It's running every week. And with that, I'd like to thank our guest speaker, Jake. We really appreciate you being on the call today and really sharing your story and walking through every detail for our audience. Thank you for doing it.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your time. We would love to see you again.